But one of my favourite parts was the bit where he just sort of tosses a boulder at him. He's swinging this boulder on a chain at Thorn and trying to take him out like a mace. Thorn grabs it, catches it, tosses it back to him. He catches it on the ice and goes, oh, falls in the ice. Simple, really. Doesn't kill him, but you know, if it was a video game, that would be an excellent finishing move. Is what I'm saying. Speaking of video games and finishing moves, there is one bit that took me and... Oh, look at that. Look at that. That's nice. There's one bit that took me and the rest of the audience out of the movie. And that was... it's whenever Legolas and Bolg, the plate-faced orc, are having a little duel amongst this ruined tower that's sort of hanging precariously over a cliff, you know, on the side of a mountain, etc. And stuff starts falling, and Legolas just sort of defies gravity in slow motion. As the debris is falling, he's stepping on it and hopping up, and it's you just heard the rest of the cinema just go, what the fuck is this? I'm sorry, I call bullshit on this. This is where I draw the line, Peter Jackson, in this fantasy movie with trolls and wizards and orcs and elves. I'm sorry. You can't go Super Mario on me right now. That's not on. But yeah, you know, I didn't mind it. There's a bit in Fellowship of the Ring where everyone else is drudging through snow and he's walking on top of it because elves are just sort of, I don't know, supernaturally light, I guess. But that's okay. I thought it was really cool that, you know, Legolas, who was kind of the go-to action hero of Lord of the Rings, gets a nemesis, and that follows through from the last movie. There's this guy who, I don't know, was sort of implicated in the killing of his mother, and he sort of goes after him, you know? It's pretty cool. He singles them out. And he runs out of arrows. For everyone who's always complaining, this guy never runs out of arrows. Well, he does, fuckers. And he has to resort to throwing a sword, which he does with aplomb. Also, he can commandeer a wild bat and sort of fly on him. Well, he can. Get that. The eagles, going back to the eagles here. They show up at the last second, as is their way. And we've been promised, like, oh, you're going to see a dogfight, right? You haven't seen a Middle-earth dogfight between the eagles and the bats. You're going to see that. You see it for all of, I don't know, 5 seconds. We're not even really sure how it's resolved. It's pretty quick. It doesn't really come out. It doesn't really stand in memory. I thought there was going to be some resolution with a lot of characters. There's a lot of characters in this prequel series that don't appear in the Lord of the Rings, and you've kind of made your own endings up in your head for them. And it's never addressed. I thought Tariel was going to bite it. No, she's just kind of standing over Keely's body at the end going, why does it hurt so much? Which is weird. And Radagast, he shows up on an eagle at the last second and doesn't do anything. Beorn, who was underserved in the last movie, got more to do and say in the extended cut of that movie. Hopefully he does the same thing. You mean he shows up on an eagle, jumps off the eagle, transforms into a bear in midair, goes on a rampage for all of 10 seconds. That's it. That's all he's seen. I mean, you're expecting at least to do the awesome movie trailer thing of just having a barefoot just crashing into screen and going, boom, you're fucked now. That, you know, you don't get that. Which was a shame, I thought. The one part, and I'm sounding more and more like a Lord of the Rings fucking ringer nerd as I'm saying this, but the one part that really thrilled me, man, was just the bit at the end. I'm rambling, I'm going all over this movie. I tried to keep on track, but I can't. The bit at the end where Thranduil and Legolas are talking, and he's just going, look, I can't go back. And Thranduil was like, well, okay, why don't you go north? He's like, what am I going to go north for? He's like, there's a ranger. His name is Arathorn. He has a son. He might be a great man someday. You should check him out. He's like, what's his name? And they call him Strider. And you just hear the few bars of the Fellowship thing. Dun, 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 dun. It's like, ah! Because in the Council of Elrond scene, it's already established that these two guys know each other. So, awesome, you know? That, for me, was brilliant. But, again, I've mentioned in the last video I did, it annoyed me that there's a lack of denouement. For something that was built up to such a large cast, it's Bilbo's story, but it incorporates so many other characters. There aren't a lot of endings. I had to explain to my girlfriend who the King Under the Mountain was after Thorin dies. His death scene, his death scene was really well played. Between Martin Freeman and Armitage, they owned that. I'm hesitant to say they killed that. Bit of a cheap gag there. There's a car. There's another car. Yeah. I'm across the road. We're all right. I mean, yeah, that worked. They did a good job on it. But my girlfriend was like, "So who's the King Under the Mountain now?" Because Thorin's dead, and I had to explain. Oh, basically, it's Dane Ironfoot, Billy Connolly's character. He shows up. Oh man. Okay. There was another part that gave me chills, came to mind. Whenever the dwarves are like, you know, and Billy Connolly is the first dwarf, the first ever character in any of these books to actually, or any of these movies rather, to swear and go, "Come on, let's get these bastards!" Alright, go on. Because if you're going to have one character swear, he may as well be played by Billy Connolly, and it worked. The bit where the dwarves sort of form a phalanx, form a shield wall against the oncoming orcs, and Bill was like, "Aren't the elves gonna help?" And then all of a sudden you just see the elves leap over the backs of them, and you're like, "Yeah, yep, alright, yes, that worked." I was on board with that. I was like, okay, let's put all our differences aside, because look at these guys. Yeah. But getting back to the lack of denouement in this movie, we don't know what happens to Bard, we don't know what, you know, Balin just says, "Oh, we're going to have Thorin's funeral," and Bilbo's like, I'm not going to hang around for that. I need to get back to my armchair. That just felt very uncharacteristic, but he still plays it very well. He's like, "Who is this Thor looking to? He was my friend." They end it the same way they end it in the book, and I always appreciate little nice touches like that where you think, I'm not sure if they're going to keep that in. That's a bit weird. You know, I don't know if that'll go over into the movies okay, but it does. Where he comes back and finds his house, and the contents of his house being auctioned off. And then the flashback, the whole stories were told in flashbacks, and the flashback ends. And Gandalf knocks on the door and said, "It's time for the Lord of the Rings." Well, no. Oh, there's a bullfinch. Well, he says, like, you know, "What about very old guests?" and all that. Very old friends. Yeah, you know, the scene, but in the Fellowship is shown from Gandalf's perspective. So this is nice. I mean, at some point, somebody's going to do a supercut of all these movies. You could do the start of the Fellowship of the Ring, and then cut to that point where Frodo goes off and waits for Gandalf, and then just do a complete flashback into all the Hobbit movies, and then flash out of the flashback and go into the Lord of the Rings. Or, yeah. And do you know what? I would watch that. I'm shitting on this movie a lot. I don't mean to. It's just, it sort of disappointed me. They build it as the defining chapter. I'm like, I don't think it is. The defining chapter is going to be Riddles in the Dark, where Bilbo gets the ring off Gollum. Surely that's the defining chapter that bridges all these together. And I'm still going to get the extended, because they promised an extra half an hour of footage, and I could be aboard of that. I said this wasn't going to last 20 minutes. It's lasted 22 minutes. My God. If you're still watching this after all this time, I applaud you, sir. Thank you. Thank you for putting up. Sir, oh, madam. Thank you for putting up with my ramblings for as long as you have done. I'm still going to get the extended. I'm still going to do the mother of all marathons when the time comes. That's just going to be... Oh, look at that. Here, you know, if you stuck around over the 22-minute mark, you get this. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a buzzard circling the trees there. We can call that our very own eagle if you want. You know, just for you guys. There you go. That was for you. Well done. And I do this more often, you know, monologues as I'm walking. We'll see what this does for the views. No, like I said, I don't mean to shit all over this movie, but I am just giving my thoughts. It's pretty good, but for me, the Hobbit movies peaked in Desolation of Smaug. That movie sort of hit the ground running, didn't let up until they got to Lake Town, but in Lake Town we got to know a whole other bunch of characters, and that was fine. Then we get to the dragon, and the dragon steals it, as he should have. You know, Peter Jackson said, hey, I want to go into this making Smaug not just a dragon, but the dragon, and he does. He's the defining cinema dragon now in my eyes. So, mission accomplished, PJ. But this movie just feels like it feels like the afterthought, you know. It's I sort of got what they were trying to do. You've got this land that's up for grabs. Economically, there's a lot of advantages to that. You've got the wealth of a small country inside that mountain. The people from Lake Town needed to rebuild their town. Now it's owed to them because Thorin Oakenshield sheltered them and took them in and said, "All right, we'll give you arms, food, clothes. Go get the dragon. Work away." The elves want it because, well, it's kind of implied that the jewels that Thranduil's after are the only things they could recover from his wife, Legolas's mother. And the other dwarves are after there. Dean Ironfoot's there because he's like, "Well, my cousin's in there. We got the mountain back. Fuck yeah, we're going to defend it." And the orcs are after it because, well, Gandalf says it's got something to do with Mount Gundabad. It's like, if we get this mountain, then we can get that mountain, and then we get Angmar, and then we'll rule the north again. And like later on in the Lord of the Rings, Gandalf's like, "Listen, man, if we didn't do something about that dragon, then by the time Sauron rose to power again, there wouldn't be a Rivendell, there wouldn't be a Lothlorien. The north would be decimated." So we were right to do what we did when we did it. But to call this movie the defining chapter is a bit of a stretch. Nah. It's not. It's not quite a money grab, but it sort of left me a little bit underwhelmed. The music at the end though was great. Billy Boyd's song. Whenever that cuts in, it's like, this guy. Denethor was right to get this guy to sing. And he did much wrong, but, you know, "Come, sing me a song. Why, this song's not fit for my halls." All that. So, you know, those are my thoughts on the Battle of Five Armies. I can't think of any more offhand. I thought I'd just ramble on about it a bit more, and I did, successfully. But, yeah, that's pretty much me for the day. Facebook, YouTube. Who are you again? You're YouTube. Hey YouTube, hey YouTube, hey YouTube, hey. I should know, it's a good start. Yeah.